Okay. Hello, everyone. The music that you just heard on marimba was Mr. Devon Pickett playing Land on marimba. I'm Dr. Jorm E. Reed, Director of Bands at Fayetteville State University, and what you're about to experience is our musical expression series. This is a series where we are getting these unheard voices out and as far as our extended Fayetteville State community. And today we have our dear friend, Mr. Devon Pickett, and I would like for my current head drum major and his former drum major to go ahead and give a warm introduction and welcome for him. And his name is Mr. Brian Flippin.
All right, greetings to everyone. Hope everyone is well. Honored to be able to give the introduction for such a great director and someone that I look up to in the field of music education. So let me get my phone out, get my notes so I get this right. All right, so Mr. Devon Pickett is a graduate of the prestigious Fayetteville State University. Officially, he fell in love with music during the beginning of his collegiate years. Although general music was not his first declared major, it would be the focus of his career. After changing his major, he knew that he had made the right choice. Mr. Pickett began as a middle school band director in 2012 in Hoke County at East Hoke Middle School. In 2013, he was transferred to the brand new Sandy Grove Middle School, where he built a rich program from the ground up. His students exhibited high measurements of achievement and helped coin what is now the annual middle school Battle of the Bands. Under Mr. Pickett's direction in 2014, The Sandy Grove Middle School Concert Band received back-to-back superior ratings at Music in the Parks and Carowinds, and the North Carolina Show-Style Band Directors Festival held at North Carolina A&T. In 2015, he was promoted from Sandy Grove Middle School Director of Bands and Mighty Marching Bucks percussion instructor to the Director of Bands at Hope County High, where he now resides. Under Mr. Pickett's direction, the Hope County High School band program has won several accolades to include the following. In November of 2015, the marching band was ranked number 2 in the state of North Carolina at the North Carolina Show Style Band Directors Association state competition. In November of 2016, the marching band was selected to attend the first ever memorial parade in downtown Washington, D.C., where they represented the state of North Carolina. In December of 2016, the symphonic band was accepted into the National Band and Orchestra Festival to perform at Carnegie Hall. In April of 2017, they performed at Carnegie Hall in New York and received a superior rating from world-renowned adjudicators, and they were one of 8 schools in the nation accepted into this program. In May of 2017, the County of Commissioners in Rayford, North Carolina, coined the symphonic band for their superior performance at Carnegie Hall in New York, and they were placed as historians in the Rayford History Museum. In August of 2017, the marching band of Hope County was asked to represent North Carolina at the Liberty Bowl High School Marching Band Competition in Memphis, Tennessee, in December 2017, where they would be nationally televised. In August of 2018, the band became the first high school in North Carolina to be endorsed by Con Selmer. In 2018, during the 2018 marching season, the band won grand champion 5 times in a row. In December of 2018, both the symphonic band and the marching band had superior performances at NC State University. One of the performances was a televised basketball game. In March of 2019, the Hope County High School Wind Ensemble received a superior rating at the Southeast District Music Performance Adjudication. In April of 2019, the Wind Ensemble performed at the Atlanta Heritage Festival and received Gold Superior Rating along with the Adjudicators Award. Currently, Mr. Pickett is the Director of Bands at Hope County High School and over the Jazz Ensemble, the Concert Band and Wind Ensemble, small ensembles, and the Marching Band. He loves teaching in the field of music and impacting students' lives every day. His love for music and students coexist to form a great passion and determination. Again, it's an honor to be able to introduce someone as great as this. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Devon Pickett.
You can take it off mute for a second. Good. Good.
All right. Well, first let me thank my brother. It's a few people that I can call my brother, like my true brother. Especially when it comes to music, and it's on the stage, on the field, away from the stage. Doesn't matter where it's at. I got to thank Mr. John Reed for allowing me to do this opportunity. I got to thank Mr. Chalmers. He's been one of my colleagues for I know the past 7 or 8 years. And you know, to be honest with you guys, I kind of struggled with what I was going to talk about this evening because of the display that another one of my brothers put on last week, Mr. Roosevelt Pratt. I mean, he taught a great lesson about leadership, and it's like, well, what can I do to follow that? You know, going behind a legend, and it was several choices that I had. You know, I started to do something about being a well-rounded percussionist, but then I figured, you know, maybe everyone may not get something out of that they can take away, and so I did a poll, and I kind of got a lot of questions about being a well-rounded program. So today, that's what I'm speaking on, being a well-rounded program, the Hope County way. And to me, I don't think that we are as well-rounded as we should be, but you know, we're going to continue to strive and go for it. So in 2019, my section leaders bought me this gift. Okay, it's a huge paddle, and what it has on it is it has all 12 of our Mighty Marching Bucks essentials. Okay, if everybody can see that. And basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk about these essentials and how they tie into the band program, because that's really what our secret is. All right. So if you didn't know, the Mighty Marching Bucks were founded by one of my other brothers, Mr. Charles Connor. I believe he's up here today. And when he got here, him and Joan Council created these 12 M&B essentials. And at this time I was a percussion instructor, so I kind of didn't pay attention to the essentials as much as I should have until I got in front of the band and I started thinking like, these essentials are genius. If any student has these 12 essentials, they carry what they need to go to the next level. Okay. And so essential number one is discipline. This is something that a lot of people think, well, let me lock it up. We're getting ready to go for the game. Let me lock it up and not move. And that's what discipline is. That is a form of discipline, but that is not necessarily all that discipline is, especially when it comes to the band room in Polk County. The level of accountability that I hold my students to is like extracurricular high. Okay. So when I talk about discipline, I'm expecting students to be to class on time. Okay. I'm expecting students to complete their assignments. I'm expecting students to put in the practice that they need to for us to go to the next level. So if a kid comes in or a student comes in and it's going on the third week and they still can't play a part, that's when I have to start fussing. Like, you haven't disciplined yourself enough to want to get better. And that's the level of discipline that we talk about. It's not necessarily just, I'm gonna stop talking because people are looking, or I'm gonna act a certain way because people are looking. That's something, discipline is something that we carry on the back of our shirts. Sometimes we put it on hats. I might get it on, the sleeve of a shirt or whatever it is, because it's something that we wear and carry dear to our heart. And like I say, it's past just music and band locking it up. It's the discipline for you to make yourself to want to be better. And that comes from within. Okay. So consistency is number two. Consistency is a very, very big one. When it comes to teaching lessons, the way I teach, I'm very, very particular. Okay. So I share the stage with, or I try to share the stage with teachers and professors that have the same level of consistency that I look for. Okay. For instance, I had at one point in time, I had a band director on the podium of the band that probably shouldn't have been on the podium. And so what happened was, I was trying to build a level of tone and tone quality that was going on. And that particular band director came in, and me just thinking, this guy he's a great guy. He's a great teacher. So he asked to be on the podium, and I let him be on the podium. He got on the podium and he said something that was the complete opposite of what I was trying to teach. And when he said it, the whole entire band looked at me like, you've been lying to us the whole time. And from that point on, I kind of learned that consistency is very important. It's very important. And that's just the best way I can put it. And who you let on the podium and in front of your students are very important as well. Okay. So don't be afraid to be picky. If you let a ton of different people in front of your band and a lot of different, arrangements and stuff, it's going to be hard to pinpoint that consistent sound with your students. Not only with the consistency, they have to be consistent in how they come to rehearsal, the mindset that they have in rehearsal, and how they see themselves in the future. If a student comes in and doesn't want to progress or doesn't want to get better, it's going to be hard to keep that student consistent, because now they're at the mindset, at the point where, I don't care. I'm just here just to be here, or I'm here for the fame and the glory. And, that's something that I have a very, very big problem with. So trying to instill consistency in the students, that's very important. Essential number three, we have musicality. This is a big one. Self-explanatory. A lot of directors have certain ways that they like for their bands to sound or for their students to sound. Okay. As far as the Hope County way, we aim to be as musical as possible. Of course, nobody's perfect. We have errors here and there, But something about me is I'm very, very, very picky. Okay, I may stop the band 17 times over one measure that they keep jacking up. And then by the time I get to those team numbers of stopping the band, here we go with discipline. You haven't disciplined yourself enough to fix this one measure that we've been working on for 30 minutes. You're not following M&B essentials, and that's the way it is. Number 4, we have enthusiasm. I don't know if you've ever been to a competition where you've seen the Mighty Marching Bucks perform, and we do our famous fried chicken chant. Um, that is a form of enthusiasm to where the students are proud of what they have. They're proud to represent something that they have, and it's just that's it's enthusiasm is something that we've never had a problem with down in Hope County. Sometimes we may have a little problem with energy trying to get kids going and students progressing, but enthusiasm when it gets time to put on the show or it gets time to go on the stage or whatever it is that we're doing, we never had a problem with enthusiasm. But um, when the band is not enthused, that's something that I'll jump into the section leaders about. Hey, how come your section is not enthused about what we have going on with this? I may ask a question or see what I need to do to try to help improve the enthusiasm. Number 5 is precision. When we talk about precision, a lot of people like to correlate it with, marching band. Oh, I got to get those 90s going, or I got to get the toe tuck going. I got to make sure I'm pointing, and that is a form of precision. When I talk about precision, I'm talking about how precise are you playing this particular note? How precise are you playing this particular articulation? If I close my ears and I close my eyes, can I tell that you're playing this articulation versus this articulation? So precision, they got to be precise in grades. They got to be precise in their classes. They got to be precise in the band. And it's all just an all around general thing. And if you haven't noticed by now, the things that I'm talking about are all life lessons. Okay. And at the end, they're going to add up to something that I'm going to explain. Punctuality is number 6. That's a big one, especially for band programs. Of course, students cannot be late for rehearsals, no matter what rehearsal it is. Okay, students cannot be late for performances. Students can't be late for classes. Students can't be late for nothing, basically. And I've had several alumni that are a lot older now, and they come back and they tell me, Mr. Pickett, I understand what you were trying to say about this punctuality thing. I'm I was on time for band for so long that now I feel like I just got to be on time for my job or I got to be on time for church. And when a student says that, that's when I feel like, okay, I kind of got across, even if I didn't get across with the other 11 M&B essentials, I kind of got across with this one because here this student is 24 years old and they're working a corporate job and they understand that they have to be punctual. Okay. Number 7 is integrity. I know I keep saying it, but this is a really, really, really big one for me personally. All right. Our band does travel a lot, no matter what ensemble it is, and sometimes, especially if it's in the spring semester, I'll be by myself with the ensemble. And if I'm taking the ensemble on a trip, let's say the winter ensemble, I'm taking them on a trip, I can't necessarily keep my eyes on all 35 or 40 students. Okay. So if I can't trust you to do the right thing when no one is looking, we're not going. I'm not going to break my neck on that trip, trying to make the trip happen. I'm not going to trust you when it's time. I like sometimes I reward my students on trips if they behave themselves and we have a 11 o'clock curfew, just to say example, but they're behaving. We've been there 3 days and they haven't done anything crazy or, no hotel complaints. I may say, look, y'all can stay up. I'm gonna come lock rooms or tape doors 1 a.m. But if I can't trust a student, I won't even accept them in the ensemble. And all students do have to audition to get in ensembles. But if they're an elite musician, but I know they're gonna do something sneaky or they're gonna do something crazy behind my back when I'm not looking, I will not accept them into that ensemble. Why? Because you're breaking one of the essentials that the band program has. Okay, that's very very important. And sometimes being a part of a HBCU or HBCU product, sometimes we get categorized, and the last thing that we need to do is go somewhere with a lot of students that are untrustworthy, that act a fool, and then it's like, here we go, and because that's what a lot of people expect. Sad but true. And so integrity, I try to pick a handful of students that I can trust, um, and then a lot of times that boils down to my section leaders as well. Um, they have to be students that I can trust, just 100%. Okay, because I know sometimes I make mistakes, or sometimes another mistake may happen, but I got to know that they understand, what needs to be done and so forth. Or sometimes section leaders will get on their students like, hey, we not in Rayford no more, so we got to make sure that we're doing this, and that, because that's the last thing we want to do is embarrass our community, our school, our principal, our board of education, our band program. All right. So number 8 is creativity. Again, this is another big one. Trying to figure out how I can put it. A lot of things or ideas that I may have are always shot down. Okay, not necessarily by the higher ups, but it may be shot down by the community, or they may be shot down by parents. And I'm here to tell you that nothing is off limits. It doesn't matter what you want to do. How if it's a will, there's a way, and that is a very very true saying. It's been several trips that our band have been invited to, and it's been shot down in the beginning, from someone that we needed approval from, or whatever the case is, and you just got to keep going. So, uh, as a director, I feel as though it's a necessity for the director to provide students with the opportunity to grow. Whether we have zero money, or whether we have zero support, somehow the director has to figure out how to make it happen. And so that's where the creativity comes in. Okay. Now, of course, the things that we're talking about all are applied to the band as well. When it comes to shows, when it comes to a concert season, that creativity kicks in of how we're gonna do something, or why we're gonna do it, or how I'm gonna get it done, even though I've been told no 5 times. So and then that's comes with consistency as well. And you've been told no 17 times, you're still trying. Yes, because I feel it's that important for our students to experience that. Okay. Number 9, unity. This is a big one. All of them are big, but this one is big. When it comes to unity, this band, we try to make it a family. Okay, as most bands do. My favorite saying is that no one can do it alone. Okay. You can make it happen, but for you to excel to the point where you need to be in the top of the mountaintop, it's very, very difficult to do it alone. Just be me, myself, and I. I'm fortunate enough that I have a great marching band staff that supports me. They support my vision. They got my back with a lot of stuff. Um, you know, Students, as far as students, our section leaders, they do a great job of, gelling. Their student, they'll get their section to hang out with them on the weekend sometimes, or they may go to the movies before the virus shut it down. It's just unity is unity. If you have, and I often tell my students a lot, if I know someone is beefing and we're playing a piece of music, I can often tell that they're beefing. And a lot of times they'll look at me like, he's crazy. Like, how does he know that I had an argument with such and such a week ago? And I say, I can hear it through your horn. For instance, if the first trumpet player has a solo and the flute player has a solo and it's corresponding, I can literally tell if they're beefing or if they hate each other. It sounds weird, but I can really tell. And then I pull them aside at the rehearsal and I say, hey, what y'all got going on? And students will be students. Oh, we don't have nothing going on. Lying. And then I say, nah. If I recorded that particular rehearsal, I say, listen to this. Hit the play button, and it'll sound a mess, and they'll say, okay, well, he said such and such on Instagram, Facebook, and all that good stuff. So it does affect the way students sound. It affects the way your ensemble sounds. So unity is a big one that I like to push. You don't have to be best friends, but you have to be colleagues. You got to get along enough to play together on the field and to play together on the stage. Okay. Number 10 is responsibility. Like I talked about before, I hold my students to a higher level of accountability than a lot of people do. A lot of times I get, the saying, well, this ain't a college band. And I say, what does that mean? I can't hold my students to the level of accountability that a young adult is held to. And, sometimes I'll get into a little bickerment about it. But the fact of the matter is, if you're going to be in the Hope County High School band program, you're going to be held to a certain level of accountability and responsibility. Okay. Students are responsible for a lot. As mentioned before, they're responsible for their grades, they're responsible for their music, practicing, making sure they're not stagnant in whatever it is we're learning. If it's music theory and it's something that you're confused about, and I've taught that lesson 3 or 4 times, that student is expected to go home and figure out what they need to ask me to help them understand what was taught. That the student has to be responsible. The student isn't responsible for themselves, and if they're a section leader, they're not responsible for their group. The whole entire band is going to be stagnant. Okay, if we have a certain level of musicality going on, and we got 1 or 2 students that are down here that are stagnant, we're holding everybody else back. So those students must be responsible enough to do what they need to do to go to the next level. Okay. Number 11 is respect. This is another big one. I see some of my students laughing. There is no disrespect in the Hope County High School band room. You may get outside of rehearsal and talk junk under your breath, or do whatever it is, but no respect, no disrespect at all will be tolerated in the Hope County High School band room, no matter what form or fashion it is. Okay. And that's just the bottom line. That's a non-negotiable. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. Because I know if you disrespect me, you'll disrespect my student leader. You'll disrespect the rest of my staff. Okay. If we happen to be around someone that is at a higher level for musicality, you may blurt out and disrespect them. And that's not gonna happen. Okay. So we have to respect each other, respect our musicianship. Okay. A lot of times I hear students talk about how such and such is better than them, and such and such is better than them. And then they'll start talking junk. Oh, he sucks, or he's this, or he's that. But at the end of the day, if a student is better than you, you got to respect that they're better than you, but that don't mean they're gonna stay better than you. Okay. And now that was something that we had when I was at Fayetteville State that I loved, especially with the percussion section. We would talk junk all the time, but everybody knew I was the best. That's for my people that's up here. Anyway, number 12 is determination. So when I talk about determination, and I talk about it a lot at the end of rehearsals and practices, the student must be determined to exceed beyond what is expected of the program. And I usually put it like that because if a student if a student is stagnant and they're doing well, okay, and they're determined to do their role in the band program, that's fine. The band is gonna stay right here. But if a student is determined to exceed beyond, like if Mr. Pickett told me I need to learn measures 1 through 35, and that student goes home and they learn 1 through 55, and every student does that, the next day at rehearsal, we get to move on further than what is expected, which means we get to learn things that are higher quality, so to speak. So if a student has that determination to get better with everything, the band will grow. Okay. And I've been fortunate enough the last few years to have students that are very, very, very determined to take things to the next level. So I kind of talked a little bit about leadership expectations. All leaders are expected to be in all ensembles. That's jazz band, that's concert band, that's marching band. If we happen to have a musical that year, Hope County does musicals every other year. and we got a pit band. Student leaders are going to be in that pit band. Small ensembles, the woodwind ensemble, percussion ensemble, brass ensemble. It's a non-negotiable. All section leaders must be in all ensembles. If you can't handle that, I can't have you as a section leader. Okay. And that's, growing purposes. A lot of times, especially in the band program here, we may get students that are come in because they just want to be in marching band. Um, and then I have another 20 to 25 that want to join the band program, but they don't want to be in the marching band. Mr. Pickett, I don't like marching band. I want to do this or I want to do that. And so I kind of learned that I had to open up these different types of ensembles to accept other students into the band program. And then once they get in, you never know what may happen. They may say, well, I didn't want to do a concert band at first, but since I've been in the jazz band and I've seen how the band program rolls, now I want to be in the concert band, or now I want to be in the marching band, and I want to do this and I want to grow and do such and such. Okay, so again, another thing all student leaders are required to do is they're required to be in a professional development group. Okay, and by that, I mean, you know, I'm a member of Percussive Art Society, which I didn't learn about until my professor, Dr. Don Parker, taught me about it. And I was fortunate enough for him to take us up there, and it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. It's one of the greatest. It was humbling as well as just a great time, where I met a lot of famous people. And that professional development humbled me. Okay. Because at that time, like I say, percussion would talk junk and we would say this, that, or I'm the best and I'm this and I'm that. And when we got to the Percussive Art Society convention, it was mind blowing. Like, man, I thought I was good, but we have these prodigies who've been getting private lessons since they were 5 out the womb on the marimba, who's running circles around me and he's younger than me. So a lot of time, all of my student leaders are required to be in some type of professional group because it is very, very eye awakening. Um, and sometimes they may go to these professional developments. If I can swing it, I help them out, and it's just very, very eye opening. So, and I told Dr. Reed I was gonna try to tell this story before I move on. When I was in college and I went to the Percussive Art Society, Dr. Parker introduced me to a lot of people that are big name in the industry, percussion industry. And I had an opportunity. I met Mr. Andy Zildjian, who is the owner of Sabian Cymbals. Okay, and a lot of people don't know is Andy and his brother are the owners for Sabian Cymbals and Zildjian Cymbals. So those two companies are beefing and they're blood brothers. And Sabian stands for, those are the initials of all the brothers and sisters that are in their family. So he took this company and opened up his own, and now those are the top 2 cymbal companies in the world. So I had an opportunity to learn this stuff, and Dr. Parker introduced me to Andy Zildjian, and I performed a song for him. It might have been Land. I can't remember what it was at that time, but I performed for him, and he introduced me to his publicist, who was a guy named Lane. And Lane said, well, look, you seem like a good student. You're getting ready to graduate. How about you come work at the Sabian Cymbal Factory? And I said, really? I was just shocked because a lot of times it's hard to get in touch with the higher ups in the band world. So I said, yeah, that'd be lovely. You know what I'm saying? So he had me come back to Fayetteville after the convention. And I sent him my resume. He took my resume, and said, hey, this is what we're gonna do, this, we're gonna do that. Everything's good for the internship. And as it turned out, the internship ended up backfiring because when the Sabian factory shut down in Boston, Massachusetts, and it ended up moving to operating solely out of Canada, and then it was offered like, you can move to Canada, work for us. And I'm not moving to Canada. My family is down here. I'm not doing that. And so I ended up getting offered a promotion somewhat, but then the guy, Lane, that I met at PAS denied all accusations. No, I never told him he could do this, do that. And so it was then that I learned, you got to have a backup plan. You got to have some type of written or formal agreement. Something has to happen. And so at that time, I didn't have a backup plan. So I came out of North Carolina, and as you heard in the bio, my major was not music education; it was general music because I was stuck on wanting to be a performer. So when I got back, I was just stuck. I didn't really have anywhere to go. I didn't have a job. It took me a long time to find a job. I had support from my family. It was encouraging and stuff, and so that's how I ended up working at East Hope. But that lesson taught me that I always have to have a backup plan, and I got to have proof of what's going on. So now, as a band director, if something goes wrong or something goes bad, I always got some type of backup plan of what's going to happen next. And that came solely from just that situation. Okay. And then last thing I'm gonna talk about before I tie it all together, as a director's responsibility, I mentioned earlier, I feel like it's the director's prerogative to provide students with that opportunity to grow. Not every student is going to take that opportunity, but I feel like, if I can provide it, that's what I'm going to do. If you've ever been to Hope County performance, or a Hope County concert band concert or anything like that, you know that I hate getting on the mic. I never take credit for what my students do. I try to keep the light on them, give them all the credit because they deserve it. They work hard. The only thing I did was provide them with that opportunity to become, at least a decent musician by the time they graduate. Okay. And then, another thing I do is I like to lead by example. And when I say that, I don't mean, you know, uh, when I lead by example, I do anything that I ask a student to do, I can do. I don't care if it's sweeping up the band room. I'll sweep the band room up first, and then if I say sexually, if somebody needs to make sure they clean this band room, sweep this band room before they leave, they don't do it. Then I'm gonna get mad because guess what? I done it, and here I am telling you that you got to do it too, and I got to keep repeating my no. Okay, but I like to lead by example, because that's just the best teacher. So with these 12 MMB essentials that we have, I wanted to create something that the band program would never forget. And when I say never, I mean never. A life-changing experience that evolved around these 12 MMB essentials that we live by. And so if you don't know our story, in 2018, we had a pretty good year as far as all ensembles. We went undefeated in the marching band session. We won all parades that we went to, and we added three superiors that concert season as well. And you have to understand our story to understand why my students, the emotions flowed. So we had a lot of different things happen, but the most memorable one is in 2018. We were headed to the homecoming game. The week before the homecoming game, we had a lot going on. We had students that were getting in trouble, doing things. We had a couple juveniles who were doing things they were not supposed to do. And so my principal and my superintendent pulled me to the side and they say, "Hey, we can't afford nothing else. We can't afford for the band to get in no more trouble. All students need to be going to classes, this, that, and that." And I said, okay. I remember it because it was a week before the Dylan competition, and our show had been put together. We were feeling pretty good about it, and so that they told me that on a Friday morning. That Friday night, we were headed to the homecoming game, and it just so happened that a guy from Scotland tried to break the ranks. He was a Scotland football fan. He tried to break the ranks, and he tried to break it with the wrong section. Tried to break it with the percussion section, and so it ended up being a big brawl. They ended up busting the lady's windshield out. This guy had like 4 or 5 knots on his head, and I knew once it happened, I said, "Oh my God, we stuck." And so the principal called us into the weight room in the middle of the game. He called the percussion section in, and he said it outright. He said, "Hey, if you guys lie to me, you're gonna regret it. I need to know the truth." And of course, students being students, we had nothing to do with this. Nobody wanted to snitch on nobody. And our season got shut down. It got shut down. So we were not able to go to the Dylan competition that we were so happy about, anxious about. And at that point in time, I didn't think we were gonna be able to go to anything else. And so I came back that next week And I gave him a proposal and I said, look, if we do this, and make this change, will you allow us to come back? And he looked it over, took it to the superintendent. Superintendent came back and said, this has to be done now. And if you do it, I'll allow you to come back in 2 weeks. But all your section leaders must be in class on time. They got to set the example. You know, they have to make sure that they're not failing any assignments. Their grades better not be failing. All this has to happen for the band to come back. And so I put a lot of pressure on my section leaders. Like, look, you guys got to take them for the team. Otherwise, you know, especially the seniors, your year is done. It's fried. And so section leaders did what they needed to do. It just so happened that we were able to come back, and that was the start of our season to where, you know, we ended up doing great in. And so after that, I said, what can I do to tie all of this together so that people can understand what just happened to us and where we came from? And it dawned on me that, one, we're broke. We don't have any money. Okay. So I can't do nothing too extravagant. Two, we still have these raggedy instruments. Okay. If you didn't know, before we got the Con Summer deal, we were stuck. We had zip tied euphoniums, zip tied sousaphones, holes all in them, zip tied and stringed up horns. And so I said, well, we don't have any instruments. We don't have any money. So what can I do? And so I ended up putting another proposal together with the idea that I had, and I took it to the superintendent, and I said, look, this was right when we secured the Con Summer deal, but we did not have the instruments yet. And I said, look, I know I just asked you for $140,000, which is unheard of, but I need a little bit more money because I want to make sure that the seniors end off on the right note, and I want to make sure that the students understand that through hard work and dedication, things like this can happen. And so he looked it over for about a week, and he came back, and when he dropped it off, he said, make it happen. I said, bet. And so what I came up with was I was able to come up with the idea that we needed a song for us, strictly for us, that told our story. Okay. And today I actually have the distinct honor and pleasure to introduce one of my great friends that's going to talk to you guys a little bit. And me and him went back and forth. He asked me a question, told me, hey, do you want this? Is this what you need? So we went back and forth for a few months, and we got it worked out. And if you did not know, we were able to get our commission piece, which is entitled The Wilderness. Okay. And, I'm going to let my dear friend, colleague, Mr. Rossano Galante, talk to you guys about the piece. I wanted to reach out because I know sometimes, again, when schools and universities aren't as fortunate when it comes to the financial side of things, we don't get an opportunity to experience some of the things that other schools do. Okay. And so I'm going to let him talk to you guys about the piece. And yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Pickett. So great to see you. Great to see everybody. I hope everybody's doing okay. Can you all hear me? Okay, great. Like I said, very honored to be here to chat with you briefly. I'm just going to briefly tell you about the composition. One thing for sure is my memories at the school were awesome. I just remember before even starting to rehearse that the students were on stage practicing and like really enjoying themselves, but working hard at the same time to be the best that they can be. And that's one thing I definitely noticed, and it made the whole experience just so much fun, just great to work with ensembles that are way above what sometimes I hear groups that are struggling, but it's nice that you're approaching college level in your ensemble, and that's amazing. So about the wilderness. First of all, people always ask me, do you title your compositions first and then write it? I said, well, no. What I always do is I create a musical story. And based on what Mr. Pickett asked me about, telling me about the struggles and something unique, that was exciting for me because most people commission me, they want sort of the same kind of style that I write in, which is great. It's this heroic cinematic style, which I love to do. But when someone asks me to do something a little bit different, something happens. And in fact, it makes composing a little bit easier because now we're taking a fresh approach. And the approach I took with The Wilderness is I wanted something dark, something sort of sad, something cold. And to incorporate that, I used, it's a tonal composition, but I incorporated much more dissonant than my other dissonances than my other compositions. More jazz chords that you don't really know are jazz chords incorporated in some of the transitions. And I think that makes it one of my favorite published pieces. All of them I'm proud of, but this one's the most special and the most different, which is very exciting for me. So a little about the piece. I'm basically going to talk about the form. I'm not going to talk too much about it. The introduction. When I was writing this introduction, I wanted something vast and to capture the coldness and the darkness of a snow-covered forest. And as I was working at the piano, the opening chords are not triads, they're just like suspended chords. I think it gives you that cold feeling. And I think that's right what I was thinking. This is like a cold snow-covered forest. This is very nice. So we have the introductory material, which does expand and it does use triadic chords and sevenths, which makes it very lush. After the intro happens, we have this aggressive, dissonant, transitional material leading us into our main thematic material. And I love it. Trombones are blaring and we got the dissonances and rhythmic attacks. Very exciting and very tense. And once we transition, we go into our main theme. Now the main theme is very melodic, but it's in a minor key. It's rhythmic, it has motion, but still there's a melodic emotion to this main theme. And of course, there's a form to the main theme, like form as in AABA or AABC. So usually the main theme is stated. When the main theme is repeated, it's bigger and more robust, as you will hear. So once we go through the main theme, this is always the hardest part for me. How do I get from the main theme and transition into the middle section? That is always the biggest challenge because it sort of has to incorporate some music of where you're going to and where you're coming from, and it has to sort of blend in. And that in this transitional material into the slow section, I used a lot of jazzy chords that sound really cool and very lush. So now we get to the slow theme. And I would like to think of this as the evening time of a snow-covered forest. Things are quieter, things are settling down. Those who are surviving in the forest are calling it a day with hunting and everything. Now, the slow theme, I feel, has a lot of soloistic elements to it. I feel this slow theme is very sad. I can equate it to lost love, or someone, say you're in love with someone that doesn't love you back, and the pain that you have to go through to get over someone. I feel that sort of captures that kind of pain and grief through this melodic content of the slow section. All, of course, thinking that we're still in the forest. So you're in the forest and you're grieving for the person that you can never have and never be with. So once we get through then we have the slow theme. There is no real transition from the slow theme to the fast theme. I just kind of jump right into it. Now, the ending is a brand new thematic material. Usually in my compositions, I usually have two or three main thematic ideas and maybe an introduction, as in this piece. If you had too many thematic elements, you just get lost. So I try to keep it kind of clear and simple. This was tough. This is like action music. This is like woodland creatures trying to eat you in the forest or chasing you, and you have to defend yourself. Very exciting horns and trumpets and woodwind ostinati that make up this, action theme. Then in the action theme, we have some slight hints of the introductory material. And once we get through all of this commotion, we come back to introductory material. So basically, it's kind of a repeat of the introduction, but maybe slightly differently orchestrated. Big, gorgeous, and then the final tag is that and that is pretty much the form of the wilderness. And after I wrote the piece, I sat back and said, what am I going to call this piece? Feels like a forest, feels like the wilderness. And that's how the piece was written. Thank you. Thank you. You too.
Thank you very, very much. So now I'm going to share my screen and we can watch where we did the premiere in the wilderness. And if you can, hopefully you guys will be able to hear the 12 essentials that we just talked about. You'll be able to hear some of the problems that we had, and in the end, how we overcame them. Dr. Rita won't let me share. So it's been disabled. Okay. All right. Again, thank you again to my dear friend, Mr. Galante, for helping me out today, and speaking to the students. Very, very much appreciated. Um, I guess that's all I got. Hopefully, you guys heard some of those essentials in there that we were talking about. You heard some of the problems that we had. You heard, how we overcame them, and that's what drives the Hope County Band program as it is. I guess we got time for a question and answer. But if you are a current student in my class, go ahead and screenshot this so you can send it to me. I know you were here. All right.
Right. So, well, yeah, little before we go to questions, because I want to introduce our moderator. Our moderator, it won't be quite moderated like that event the other night. But before we go forward, I do, Rossano Galante, it was very good seeing you again and appreciate you coming in. And then we look forward to, we at FSU, since it's been a tradition to play your music in every concert, we definitely are looking forward to, doing a commissioning project with you. So definitely enjoyed you when you came down. And also I want to acknowledge Mr. Pratt, who kicked this whole series off is on. And then we have some Fayetteville State alums. I saw Justin Elliott on here. I saw Dominic Hunter and Charles Connor. And also want to acknowledge Gary Bryant. But I want to introduce to everyone Assistant Director of Bands, Mr. Austin Chalmers. And he's going to have a few words and also make some more acknowledgments. And he's been very instrumental and very helpful. And just like Mr. Pickett said earlier, no one can do anything alone. He's been a great help, especially since I've been at FSU by myself for 4 years. So this is really the first year I've had someone with me. So Mr. Austin Chalmers.
Appreciate that, Dr. Reed. Again, Mr. Okay, yeah, I'm good. Outstanding presentation. Again, we appreciate you. A couple more acknowledgments before we move on to question and answer. Let's see, of course, again, Mr. Charles Connor, Canyon Springs High School. He's all the way in Las Vegas. So I know you're having a good time out there. So appreciate you. Of course, Mr. Rossano Galante, world-renowned composer. Some more FSU alumni, Mr. Rita Waters. Appreciate you. See, again, I think we say Mr. Dominic Hunter, Douglasboro High School. Mr. Jeremy Ross, another FSU alumni, Westover High School, my former home. Appreciate you. Mr. Roosevelt Pratt, of course, our first master class of the Musical Expression Series. Joshua Harris, New Century Middle School. Appreciate you. Also, we have Miss Asia Reed on. Appreciate you as well. But we appreciate everyone for your support. Any parents that have supported Mr. Pickett, past and present, we appreciate you being on. Also, any Hope County students that are currently in the program, if you're on, again, you can make FSU your home because we'll take care of you. And we know you're outstanding musicians and also outstanding students from what we heard today. So we appreciate everyone for being on. All right, now we'll move on to the question and answer. So we're going to open up the floor for questions for Mr. Pickett as well. And also we'll give you 2 minutes uninterrupted for your questions. So we'll open the floor for any questions you have for Mr. Pickett.
Hello, Mr. Pickett. My name is Anthony. My question is, I know you're strong on unity. So what are some unity exercises or events that you have held with your leadership and or band to unite everyone to have the same vision for your program?
Sometimes it's hard to get the whole entire band in places. So a lot of times I'll do unity with my leaders and then have them do unity with their sections. So, with the leaders, I like to spend a lot of time with them. I know some band directors don't do it, but I do. I may take them out to eat. I don't think I'm gonna do that no more though, because every time I do, they break my pockets. They act like they don't have no home training. But anyway, we're going. A lot of times, leadership is given a lot of different tasks. Okay, during leadership camp, that makes them think, makes them work together. I like to take them to different parts. I might take them to Rockfish sometimes, where they have to go through the group training, and then I'll give them. I let my leadership do come up with the music for the dance routine and the dances. Just stuff like that where they're forced to get along and to think about, okay, how can we think about everybody else versus myself or what I want at that time. I got a couple students up here right now who were on leadership and couldn't stand each other. So I would make them sit beside each other. Hey, you two partners for everything. And they hated it. But at the end of the day, by the time leadership camp was over and the band came, it looked like they were one unit versus, I hate him or I can't stand him. So, I mean, those are some of the things I do with them. I spend time with them, eat with them, stuff like that.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Mr. Pickett, got a question for you. From the music education side, of course, we read in your bio that you taught in middle school, but then, of course, you graduated from middle school and went on to take over the band program at the high school. So how was it adjusting yourself, even though, of course, you worked with percussion at the high school before becoming the actual director of bands? How can you say that you had to cope with changing your ideas of music education or your philosophy of teaching from going from middle school versus high school?
Well, a lot of times, percussion is considered the back of the room. They sit in the back, and a lot of people think that percussion don't pay attention. And a lot of times we don't, especially if the band director is working 45 minutes to an hour with one section of the band. But once I got to the middle school level, it was a lot of foundational work, that had to be done, just to kind of get them to somewhat understand what I was trying to get across. And of course, it couldn't be too intricate, like it is with the high school or collegiate level. But once I got to the high school, that changed drastically. It changed drastically. My first year at the high school was probably, matter of fact, it's no problem in it. It was my worst year of teaching, because I was stuck in Mr. Connor's shadow. He did such a great job in the things that he did in the program in the county that started when I got here. That's all I heard. Are you going to be able to do this like Mr. Connor? Are you going to do this like Mr. Connor? How come you're not doing this like Mr. Connor? And so it was so many. I got a lot of stabs from parents in the back, supporters in the community. I got shot down a lot. And so it was more so I couldn't teach how I wanted to teach or do what I wanted to do until I was able to prove that, okay, we can keep the train rolling. It's just a matter of how I'm going to keep it rolling or what I'm going to do. So that first year, 2015, man, it was tough. It was the toughest year. And my band director used to tell us all the time, Mr. Timothy Chambers, being a band director or a music educator is not for everybody. You got to have some thick skin. You're going to go through some things. You're going to get some stuff that smacks you in the face, but the strong will prevail. And so that 2015 year was one of those years that I had to go through. And then towards the middle of 2016, things started easing off to where I could start teaching at a more intricate level to try to, get the sound that I wanted for the students to have. And so, now we're at a level where I can teach the section leaders how I want. I lay into them really, really heavy, and then they just trickle it down to their sections. And I won't even get in front of the band if they don't at least sound some type of way. Some type of effort is being put in front of, and then I just go back to the section and it's like, hey, we got to get this together. Your section is doing this and doing that. And once they get to a certain spot, then I can start doing intricate things, and I can bring in, different people that I trust, and we just go like that.
Okay. And it looks like we have a question in the chat from Tucker. The question is, do you have any STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math components integrated into your music instruction?
I do. Again, a lot of times those are things that I incorporate with the student leaders. And I'm fortunate enough to have a county that says, hey, we're not going to put too many constraints on you as long as you get the job done at a high level, or at least try to, because I mean, I don't necessarily consider us a high level, but I want to keep growing, and so a lot of times those STEM components are integrated in the music theory class because my county allows me to choose who I want to be in the music theory class. So you have to be a section leader to be in the AP music theory class. So if I have those students that I know are going to take this serious and want to be here, then I integrate some of those components. I may do some basics in finale or just different things dealing with electronics and stuff like that. I may even have I let not student conductors, but student arrangers arrange their piece, send it to me, and then I pick it apart, tear it apart, and then if it's halfway decent, hey, we can play it after we get it together. So just those type of things.
What made you want to become a music educator?
That's a good one. I'm trying not to make this one too long. When I first got to Fayetteville State, I was not into music at all. Yeah, I was a sports fanatic. Didn't really know much about it. And long story short, I got sick, very, very sick. I got diagnosed with shingles and pneumonia at the same time. So I was out for a little while, and my sister who was in band, she kind of showed me a few things, one or two things, and I ended up getting into the band program because I needed a scholarship to be in school. And so I auditioned at Fayetteville State. I was a knucklehead now towards the end of my high school career, got into a little bit of trouble. And the schools that I had things that offered to me, they weren't there no more because, I just didn't do right. And so Fayetteville State was still there. I auditioned for the band there. My cousin, who was the head of she's the chair of the department, biology department at Fayetteville State, Dr. White. She said, hey, Fayetteville State is still here, it's open. So I auditioned, made it into the band. At the time, I was a biology major. My first year, and I ended up I had to take a zoology class, and that zoology class conflicted with percussion ensemble. And I was really thinking, I'm not going to go to this zoology class because I want to be in percussion ensemble class. And so I talked to my counselor at that time, and she said, hey, this is a class that you need to graduate. We shouldn't even be having this conversation. And so I went back to Dr. Parker and told Dr. Parker the issue that I was having. And then he said, if you're thinking about skipping the class that you need for graduation to be here, you need to think about what you're doing with your life, because it don't sound like you really want to be a biology major, and he put it to me just like that. And so I went home and thought about it, weighed my options. I talked to my parents and came back, that next semester, and I declared to be a music major. And that's really when I got into the things that I got into, that a music major does. I didn't know much about genres. I didn't know much about rhythms, stuff like that. So that's how I got into it. And I realized that I was at a point to where I had to have the band and I had to have those music classes. That's when I realized that I wanted to be a music educator.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Hey, Mr. Pickett. What advice do you have for percussionists like myself aspiring to become music educators?
This is almost like I talked about with percussion, just being in the back of the room, being knuckleheads, giving the band director a hard time. He's been working with the woodwinds for 20 minutes and we just sitting here. Those are some of the times that I wish I would have paid more attention to Mr. Chambers, because it was some very, very good teaching going on, as well as understanding that as a percussionist, you kind of have an upper level that a lot of student musicians don't have, due to the fact that we have a million different instruments that we can play. Okay. And you got perfect pitch. A lot of times percussion is either hit or miss. Either you're going to have a very, very strong sense of pitch and you know, the musical things that we talk about, or you not just not gonna have it. Ain't no in between. You're gonna have one or the other as a percussionist. And so if you know now that you want to be a percussion educator, I'll be paying attention to everything that Mr. Chalmers says, Dr. Reed says, as much as possible, because it's gonna come back to you. And as well as like Mr. Chambers should tell me, you and Jeremy Ross and Fred Dunlap, y'all giving me a hard time, it's gonna come back to you. I used to sit back there mumbling under my breath. No, I'm not listening to that. He don't know what he's talking about. And I lied to you not. As soon as I became a band director, I got these same things that I was given a hard problem about. I got them back to me. And so if you can be a good student and do what you're supposed to do, just go that route. It's gonna pay off in the end. And like I say, percussion is either hit or miss. Either you have it or you don't. And I know for a fact you got it. So just stick to them, pay attention, and everything will be fine.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, great. Do we have any more questions on the floor for Mr. Pickett?
Yeah, I got a question. But first and foremost, I want to say, man, congratulations with the with the program. It's so awesome to see things not only continue but enhance. Since I left North Carolina. So definitely congratulations to you and all the students and everything that you guys have done there. I wanted to bring this up not only for a question for you, because I kind of know this answer because I've been in that position, but to any of the music majors on here. And it's something I never thought about until I taught in 2 different additional states. What are the advantages or disadvantages of teaching in a county school? That's something that doesn't get brought up too often, So what are some of the disadvantages or advantages teaching at the one high school in this entire county?
Well, the advantage is, for one, us being the only high school in the county, that contributes to our size most of the time. All middle school students have to come through the high school, so we're fortunate enough to get those students from our 3 feeder middle schools. And then, a lot of times, because we're in a military town, we get students that transfer in from other states, other programs. And this can be an advantage or a disadvantage. A lot of times a student will come in from another program or another state and think, just because we're HBCU influenced, we don't know what we're talking about. Or I'm not going to learn this, or I'm not going to learn that because my last band director said such and such. Or we may get a student who comes in, is willing to learn, hardworking, was bred, to be in band. Both parents were in band. And, it's sometimes it could be an advantage, sometimes it could be a disadvantage. Another advantage that, we have being the only county in the high school, if I really, really need something and I'm able to prove that I need it, now I can go to the superintendent and say, hey, we're the only county, only high school in the county, but we don't have this or we don't have that. And we can't compare to other programs if we don't have the things that we need, and then by him not having to share that pot of money with another high school, sometimes he has it sitting there, just like when we were able to get the commission piece done, even though I had just spent literally $140,000 on instruments that, and believe it or not, that was cheap because the total was like 330,000, but with the endorsement, we were able to get it down to 140. And, just stuff like that financially, sometimes it can be a very, very big blessing. And then sometimes it may slap you in the face because, or I may need this money for this school over here because we don't have multiple incomes coming with it. You know what I mean? So it's just stuff like that. Sometimes you get good students. Sometimes you get students that are, know-it-alls that you got to pop their bubble, that come from other programs, just, stuff like that.
All right, great. Any more questions for Mr. Pickett? Appreciate the insight.
I got one, Doc.
All right.
All right. So, Mr. Pickett, what advice would you give to a young music educator on trying to make sure that they handle the administrative side of band as good as they handle the musical side?
Okay, that's a great question. I'll start like this. I've been fortunate enough to have some decent administrative support. When I started out at the middle school, My principal there gave me support. When I got to the high school, I had administrative support to a certain extent. I had to prove myself first that I wasn't going to waste the county's money, waste the county's time. And so if you're going into a new job, my advice would be, walk in, check your surroundings, just kind of be the new kid on the block. Don't come into a job unless you Dr. Reed. Now you can't do this. But if you come into a job, you can't come in demanding, hey, I need this or I need that. You have to put in the work first to get the attention from your administration. And then once they see that you're putting in that work and putting in that time and making those sacrifices and putting the students first, it's like, okay, I can start asking for this little bit, or I can start asking for that, this, and that. So, my advice would just be humble, come in with a plan and a vision, and just work your way through it. And a lot of times I tell my students, we're going to be one of the hardest working band programs across the state. And that's just what it is. We're going to work hard. We're going to practice a lot. We're going to work hard, and we're going to do what we're going to do. So, be humble, come in with a plan, come in with a vision. And then once you get that ball rolling, take advantage of it.
Appreciate that.
No problem.
All right. Anyone else? All right. We'll go ahead and turn it back over to our director of bands, Dr. Jerome Reed.
All right. Again, I appreciate everyone that came on this afternoon. Not you students, you got to be in here for your grade, so you don't have any choice for class. So we did take roll. But we're going to continue this series. We had at one point 96 people here. So we really want to grow this. And all of these sessions are going to be archived on Facebook and on YouTube. So all of this information, you can go back to it if there's something that you missed. We want to share this information that's out there. I know I missed Jarita Waters, who was on Fayetteville State alumni, and some others. But coming up the next couple of weeks, we're going to have Dandrick Glenn, our applied low brass professor, trombone professor, who's also in the military and works for music and arts as well. He pretty much wears a lot of hats on the faculty, and he's going to present pretty much a playing recital as well as a question and answer type of format. So we're going to have that, and as well as some other faculty. Next week, we're going to have a sort of a forum of sorts of Black female band directors, conductors. So we're looking forward to getting that forward and getting these voices heard. So stay tuned and definitely invite others. We're going to have a lot of content that's not just for music majors, but definitely, things about life. If you were in the band and you majored in something else, you were still influenced by the band in some way, shape, or form. Or you were in the band and got a band scholarship and majored in something else. So there is something that you can get out of all of these speakers. So again, thank you, Mr. Pickett. We appreciate you doing this for us. And I don't have anything else, and I'm going to let our drum major, you can go ahead and close it out.
All right. Well, again, we definitely want to thank everybody for coming through to have a world-renowned composer and a great band director, along with the host of other people that have come in today to just drop some wisdom off on us. It is definitely something that we don't take for granted. So we're definitely appreciative of everyone's time. So yeah, thank you all for the great knowledge. All on behalf of all the students, the Marshall Bronco Express, the Fayetteville State University Band Program, we say thank you. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. So without further ado, as the church would say, may the may the Lord watch between me and thee.
While we're absent.
I'm glad I got some help. So thanks, and we'll see you guys next week.
And the marimba player, this is Mr. Pickett. playing land. Make you just want to go, ah. All right. Let's see. Turn off YouTube.